Right, welcome back, everyone. Hi. The next speaker came all the way from Lviv in Ukraine. She's an amazing developer. She's a women tech maker. She's my best friend. And last week, she just ran her first half marathon. And I just want to remind you, if you have any questions, use the Slido if you haven't done so. The hashtag is DFT1. And right now, I would like to welcome Sofia Huts.
Thank you, Ellie. Hello, everyone. So, when I was a kid, I loved a lot to play with toys, as you all have. I have many of them. I just have a big box, and every time I started to play, so I just drop out around the house, and yeah, a little bit messy, right? So after the sweetest part of playing with my toys, there was the not so good part. I had to clean up after myself because I know that my mother would be angry of me if I wouldn't do that. So already at that time, I was dreaming about some elves, fairies, some magical tool that will come to my house while I was sleeping and just clean up everything after me, so it will be clean in the morning, and that's it, because it's magic and it works. So I grew up, and finally I met the real magical tool. Yeah, it's Firebase, and I explain you why it's magic for me. So let's talk a little about how we are actually developing our products, how we are creating startups. Raise your hand who wants to create your own startup. Yeah, a lot of you. So how it starts? You have a great idea. You think about the daydream when you will be rich and you will just change the world with your product. And you have a lot of money and it makes you happy. But let's go back to the reality. So there are a lot of work you have to do to go to that way, to the success. So here, as you're a startup, you're a small team, and you don't have money, you just have small resources. And you have two ways which you can choose between how you will go. You can, first of one choice, you can focus on engineering. Yeah, it's fun, you can make the great code, you can build the rock-solid backend, and this, of course, is fun. But another alternative choice, it can be focus more on your user, on your market fit. Analyze your users, because better you know your user, better your product will grow. And this is how Firebase can help you. Because if you want to focus more on user, the Firebase can help you with tools it can offer you. So Firebase is kind of integrated suite of products which help you to develop and test your application, also to grow and engage your user, to help you with monetization. So yeah, you can consider Firebase as kind of platform as a service. You don't have to care about the servers, the databases, the load balancers. It just does all that work for you. So let's go back and think about how the usual client-server application are building. So you have the client which makes the request to the web server, then the server makes request to the database, and database sends the response to server, and the server sends the response to the client. But what happens if you have many clients? So in that case, you just have your server and your database kind of bottlenecks, because you have to think about how to scale up your servers, how to scale up your database, think about all this load balancing, latency, performance issues. And Firebase took a little bit another approach in this way. Instead of communication between client to server and server to database, you can directly talk to client. The client can talk to the database, And every time when you just make changes to the database, the other connected clients will instantly be updated of this change. So as I said, Firebase real-time database is really great for synchronizing data between all the connected clients, right? But what if, for example, you want to synchronize data from another source, like outside of database? Or each time when, for instance, a new user authenticates to your application, you want to send a welcome email to this user, or any other change that was made to the database, you want to notify your user via push notifications. Or, for instance, you want to perform some heavy operations like video transcoding, image resizing. Or, for now, the web speaks HTTP, HTTPS, and you want to expose your own HTTP endpoint. So what to do in that case? Because Firebase can do that. And for this, Cloud Functions can help you to deal with all these things. So Cloud Functions is kind of operational glue that can stitch all the Firebase products and gives you the one point of control of all the products. And the Cloud Functions is still kind of baby tool because it was released, announced just about 1 year ago, so it's still in beta version, but it does already a lot of work for you. So Cloud Functions for Firebase, they built on the event-driven model. So everything you do, you just write a code snippet which reacts on some events that happen to the to the Firebase. Like there's new changes to the database, and your code snippet can be triggered on this event and make some changes. In other words, all you know about Tooth Fairy. So you can imagine that this event or this action is kind of when the kid put the tooth under the pillow. And the Tooth Fairy, it's kind of Cloud Function who just waiting and listening to all the kids who are putting their teeth under the pillows. And when the kid goes to sleep, there is some magic abracadabra at night. And as a result, there is a coin under the pillow. So it's kind of a result of Cloud Function. So a bit more details. So Cloud Functions, they run in serverless environments. Yeah, of course, servers exist, but they exist in somewhere in the cloud, like data centers, you don't have to care about. You can treat these Cloud Functions as microservices, as separate components, because each of them has own version. You can analyze them. It's just isolated piece of backend code. And one very great thing about it, so the functions are scaling up when you need them on load and just going down to 0 when you just don't use it. So what does it mean? So you just pay for the time of execution of this function. And one more important thing. Cloud Functions, for now, can be written only in JavaScript for Node.js environment. Yeah, so what to do if you're a mobile developer? Yeah, you just have to deal with it, right? Actually, if a little bit more practice, and you can do it well. So Firebase have, like, Cloud Functions have few triggers how your function can be emitted. So first of all, when you have some changes to the database, or there is a new database like Firestore, Cloud Function can listen to this change. Or every time when the user is signing into your application, you can help trigger your function. Or every time when there is new event created and sent to the Google Analytics, you also can listen to these changes. Or any file that was put or deleted on the cloud storage, or also your Cloud Functions can be called over HTTP. So there's kind of a lot of information, but what can I do with it? Actually, there is kind of many use cases. And you can even check the Firebase website with use cases, and there is some of them. Like, for instance, you have some shop, online shop, you have a lot of products, and there's like one day of there is low prices, and you want to notify all users about these changes, and you just want to send a push notification to your user. Hey, go and check applications, there's like lower prices for this product. Or you're building a product with your team, and you want to have like GitHub webhook, and every time when someone from your team pushing the commits to master, you want to be notified in your team Slack channel. So let's do a little code. First of all, you have to install Firebase tools. It allows you to directly run the Firebase commands, and after that, when you're starting the functions, you have to run the command Firebase init functions. After that, there will be some default structure which you will receive. It's like functions folder with index.js file. It is a main source of your cloud functions, and package.json that describes your functions, like all the dependencies, etc. So the whole example started with hello world. First of all, you have to require the library. It calls Firebase Functions in the open source Firebase SDK. And as I said previously, all the functions are written in JavaScript for the Node.js environment. So in Node.js, all the files are like kind of separate models, and all the code in these files are private until you exported it. So all the functions that you make, like exports dot and the name of the functions, will be public, and the Google Cloud Platform will know that it is your function. Here we say that we want our function to be accessible via HTTPS. And this is kind of trivial response. I just send back the static response, hello world. And also, Express.js is a very popular web framework for the Node.js. It is used in the cloud functions, and you can easily access like response and request objects, which is very powerful and give you possibility to build the very great backend code. And when your function is ready, all you need to do is run the command Firebase deploy, and your functions will be instantly uploaded to the cloud and run on the servers. Here a bit more complicated example. So the functions have their common, when you want to use the database service, want to listen to the database events, you have to specify which service you want to use. So here I say, okay, we want to use the database and listen to its event. And after that, you have to specify which exactly objects you want to listen and observe in your database. So here we say we want to observe all messages in our database node. So this is kind of example. For example, just imagine this is application with chat, and we want to add feature when each user will change the message in chat. We want to update the date when it was last updated. So here we'll listen on update event. In Firebase Cloud Functions, you can listen events to the database kind of on update, on create, on delete, and on write. After that, the event is a kind of very powerful object will be passed to your function. It gives you possibility to reach the event.data. It will be the delta snapshot of your database. And after that, what I do is just using admin rights, I'm changing the time when the message was updated with a new timestamp. So I already said that The functions are very comfortable, very easy to use, and gives you a lot of opportunities and power for your application. But what is the price? So Firebase for Cloud Functions, they gives you offers 3 billing plans. So the first one is Spark. It's free, and it's free for forever. So if you already make your hands dirty in the Firebase product, I bet you already use it. It's only one important thing, outbound networking. It's only accessible for Google services, for the free plan. So what does it mean, outbound networking? So every time, for example, if you want to send the message to the Slack, you have to use Slack API, so it will be kind of external request. So for that feature, you have to pay. The second flame plan is kind of fixed prices plan. You just pay $25 per month for all the services with specified limits. And the last one is Blaze plan, so it's pays as you go. And here's one tip I just found about 2 weeks before I was making my presentation. So have you known about the $300 trial on Google Cloud Platform? Do you know this? Raise your hand if you know it. Great. So if you use this $300 trial, and after that, you can link this billing account to your Firebase project. And immediately, you will have assigned to the Blaze plan. So after you have this $300 trial for free, you'll also get a lot of free features in Google Cloud Platform that are free for forever until you don't get out of the limits. Also, this Blaze plan has a calculator on the Firebase website, so you can approximate price for your functions. You just have to move the sliders. There is 4 things like invocations, GB seconds, CPU seconds. As you can see here on the screen, there's the CPU seconds is the most expensive. For instance, for the 1 million CPU seconds per month, you pay $8. So I was also thinking about to calculate the cost of my function, which I'll show you later. So the invocation time for my function takes 700 milliseconds. For default, you get allocated memory 256 megabytes. And I took approximate invocations, kind of 10K per month. So there is a bit more calculations. Don't be scared. If you want more details, you can grab me after the session. So here is the table of the last calculations. You can immediately just go to the total price and see there is only 2 cents. But you can see there is a column free tier. So as I mentioned on the previous Blaze plan, if you have the Blaze plan, you can use this Google Cloud Platform free tier, which allows you a lot of free features forever until you reach the limits. Here's the limits. So as you can see, my function didn't go out of the limits, so it cost me per month $0. But I decided if not take into account this free tier, I calculated how it will cost for me for real. So for real, it will cost me $2. Oh, sorry, 2 cents per month, yeah. Okay, so I had talked about a lot of cloud functions, but let's talk about real use cases, lessons that I really learned from it, and this is kind of my own drama. Everyone from you has already familiar with this great website from DevFest Czech Republic. This is actually built from the one open source project which called Hoverboard, and it's kind of conference template, which is used maybe for all DevFest all over the world, and not only. And it was built by my friend, Oleg Zasadny. He's from Google Developers Group in Lviv. And I started to contribute to this project probably like 2 years ago. So now we are working on version 2, where we started to use Cloud Functions. So here is the one lesson I learned, how functions can help us. So, you know, there is like on the website schedule with speakers, session listen, but actually in database it looks a bit different. We have like 3 objects, speakers, session, schedule, and after that we have to aggregate all this data to one full object, which will help us to render our schedule. As you can see from this slide, there is a lot of operation made, a lot of loops, a lot of properties matching. And this big snippet of code has been processed every time you refresh the page on the schedule. Kind of had a bottleneck of performance, right? So what we decided, we have functions, let functions help us. So we put this kind of heavy operation into the helper file and just use it from the other function code. So we are listening to every change that made to schedule or speakers or session, and all the time we call this aggregation function and just put the full object with all properties we need already to the database. So what does it mean? That this heavy operation which will be made only that time when we are making changes by ourselves to the database by changing speakers or sessions, and won't do for every refresh. So it's kind of a lot of improvements of performance. Let's go the second drama. So one beautiful day, I was changing the data in the database. And the same time, like about 10 minutes range, my friend, like also from our Google Developers Group, Ostap, was making changes to the database. So how usually we do this change? We go to the database, download this JSON file, making changes, and upload it back. But at the time when you uploaded it back, you rewrite all the changes that already exist in the database. So as we are doing a bit, like 10 minutes range, I didn't have like his changes. So after I uploaded my changes, after he has already done this, I rewrote the changes he's made. So Ostap was like, where are my changes? Sofia, is it you? So after that, I was thinking about the really feature I really miss in Firebase. It's like kind of database history. Because we didn't know who has changed the data, like from the console admin panel, we didn't know about it. So I decided for this time also the functions help us. So I was thinking about, so every time when I writing changes to the database, my cloud function will be triggered and sending email notification to our Slack channel. So my plan was about like this. First of all, I will start free $300 trial on GCP. So it will allow me to use external network and to send Slack messages to Slack using Slack API. And for this, I was thinking that I will send these messages from cloud functions that will be created on the Google Cloud Platform. So I need kind of have the communication between cloud functions on Firebase and cloud functions on Google Cloud Platform. So I was decided to use PubSub, so I can trigger function from the Google Cloud Platform. So in Firebase function, I will publish topic to the PubSub. If you don't know PubSub, it's kind of message queue. And I will just publish topic. Okay, the changes have been changed in the database. Cloud Functions that was subscribed for this topic will get this data. And then Cloud Function will use Slack webhook to send messages in channel. So it's a little bit architecture. So every time I can changes to the database, the functions for Firebase will be triggered. Then there is the pops up. The messages are published to the pops up, and then the Cloud Functions in Google Cloud Platform will be triggered and send messages to the Slack. So here's a bit code. It's a lot of code, so I don't stop a lot of it. If you want more details, just come to me after the session. So there's great property in the event object. For now, we can't get details who has made changes, but unfortunately, fortunately, we can get if it was admin changes. Admin changes, it means that the changes were made from the console in the Firebase. Then I'm creating topic for the pops up, getting my Delta snapshot changes that was made, and publishing messages to the pops up. It's the code of pops up. We are requiring this library, creating topic. Then after that, the function of publishing this message to the pops up. So pops up, if you want to publish message, you have used only encoded string. It accepts only this kind of format of data. Then we publish our messages. From the Google Cloud Platform, you can create the function from scratch. You just need to specify that you want to subscribe from the pops up, and the topic you want to subscribe, you choose which topic you want to subscribe. Here, say I want to subscribe to DB updated topic. And that's it. You just write your subscribe function, getting data from the buffer, and posting it to Slack. So kind of a lot of work. And after that, the functions for the posting to Slack is very trivial. All you need is just configure the webhook for Slack, and that's it. Here's kind of how it looks like. I'll show you the quick demo. So I have my database with sessions, data, and I'll change like how we can use Angular. Oh, it was cached, so I have refreshed my database. So yeah. So let's check my Slack channel. Yeah, I got new message. So new changes arrived in sessions node, and here's the delta, what was changed. So, and that's it from this demo. So, but after that, if you were attentive like on the slide about pricing, you found out that I was talking about Google Cloud Platform billing and Firebase billing, and what I found out, like as I said 2 weeks ago, so, oh my God, how full I was, you know? So, because Google Cloud Function billing and the functions for Firebase billing, they are totally equal. There is no difference in limitations in billing because it's the same. The only difference between them, it was like the Google Cloud Platform SDK you use to create the cloud functions, or you want to use the Firebase functions, you have to just use Firebase SDK. So that's it. So after that, I understand it. So I don't need much code, which I showed you. So just don't need it. I just get the data, what was changed, and posting it directly to Slack. And that's it. So there is one more drama. I promise you it will be the last one. So also I was thinking about, I was experimenting with our DevFest website. We're still using Spark plan, it's a free plan. And I was thinking about how we can do the backups for our database. So let's say you want to have backups of your database, and you don't want to like enable the Blaze plan, you want it still to be on this free Spark plan. And if your database is quite small, like our database for the website is about 70 kilobytes, and at the same time, cloud storage allows you to store about like 5 gigabytes for free. But the backups feature, if you want to have like automatically backups, it's the paid feature in Firebase. So what I decided, what I can do, so every time if there is some changes to the database, which I'm interested in, the function can be also, again, listening to the changes, what I want to listen to, kind of, and I can store this, like the whole database on the storage. But also, there is like a lot of things you have to think about, like file rotation. How much files, how much copies you want to store. You can't like store automatically like all the files. So I decided it can be 10. I have only like one database copy, it's kind of 70 kilobytes. So I can have 10. So I still have a lot of free memory on the storage. So let me show you how I did it. Oh, as I said, I decided to have like maximum stored copies on the database is 10. So when the time when it will be like 11th copy wanted to be stored, I will check how much I have already on the storage. If it's already 10, I will just remove the oldest one. So again, I need my Firebase Functions SDK library. This FS library, it helps you to work with the local file system. And also I will need the library for working with Google Cloud Storage. So here I'm naming my functions called save backup. And I'm listening to all the changes to the database and getting the data. And here's the one thing. As you can see, I have like a raw JSON object, and I have to write it somehow. And what Cloud Functions allows you, they give you access to the local file system on the Google server, but it's only available under the temporary folder. So you can store your temporary files in the temporary folder, but here's a big trick. All the memory that will be allocated for this temporary folder, it will be calculated together with the memory allocated for your function, so you will pay more. So be kind of careful here and don't store big files on the temporary folder. So again, I write JSON to the temporary folder. Now, after that, I'm initializing my bucket object. When you're on the free plan, you just have one default bucket. And after that, I need to check how many files already, how many copies of database already stored in the storage. I'm searching by all the prefixes, like backup is kind of path to this its folder on the bucket, and the DB data is the start, how my files are starting. So I'm getting all files. If all files are less than the amount I specified, like 10, so it's okay, we can go back. If not, I've sorted these files by the last updated time. I will choose the oldest one copy of the database and then just remove it. So now we are sure that we have like one free spot for the new copy of database. So I'm uploading from the temporary folder to the destination to the cloud storage, and just giving the naming and like timestamp to have like unique names. And that's kind of this. That's all. I can show you also here the quick demo. So let's say web component is like it really changed. And I can go to my storage. I have backup folder, and it is already created files. So here's like all the backups are saving here. So there are a lot of, actually, you can be flexible here. It's just my approach to show you that, sorry, okay. It is just my approach to show you how you can be flexible, how you cheat a bit, and doing your own implementation. Of course, for the backup, like logic, maybe my is not the best. For instance, you can configure the cron on the Google Cloud Platform. Cron is for the scheduling jobs, and this cron can like automatically you can configure it to do backups like once a week. So there is many approaches how you want to do that. But the main goal I wanted to show you is this, how you can cheat with functions, how you can really use them to help you, not just for listening to the database triggers or other events. You can just help you during development. And just to quick sum up, so let the cloud function help you. Delegate the work like heavy operations to the functions. Don't do that on the client. And there is also one more important thing. Try to write optimized functions as much as you can, because you pay for the time of execution. So you don't pay like for the, when just you have it. You pay for this time. And also try to use this Google Cloud Platform free tier, because when you link the project from the Firebase, you will immediately get this Blaze plan, and you can have the open doors to all the free tier of the Google Cloud Platform and use a lot of features from them. And enjoy this magic. So that's kind of this. That's all. If you have questions, please do. We just will observe them.
Do we have any live questions from the audience? No? Then we'll start with a slide here.
So as I said, there was a lot of code. If you want more details, just grab me after the session, and I will show you all the things I made.
You can ask these, I don't know. Just read the question and answer.
Okay, the question is it possible to create REST API using only functions without using Firebase hosting? Yes, it's possible. When you are doing like functions, from the example, let me show you just to see what we are talking about. Yeah. So when you're using functions HTTPS on request, so here you can actually build kind of REST API. And this means that your function will be accessible via like, there is a huge link. There is HTTP US Central. It means that your function is stored somewhere in USA servers. .cloud functions, .your project ID, and after that, like .the name of the functions. So this is how your function can be accessible via HTTP. Of course, it looks better when you use hosting. You can specify, like, it will be like the short name, just your application / and the function if you do hosting. But yes, the answer is yes, it's possible. Can you compare in general Cloud Functions and App Engine? Is there a big reason to leave App Engine, or are there any serious limitations of Cloud Functions to not do it? Actually, I haven't been worked with App Engine, so I can just to compare these two things because I didn't work with App Engine. But as I said, the Cloud Functions has a lot of limitations, and you have just be careful when writing in to try to optimize code, because you pay for the execution if you're doing like a lot of heavy operations. So another questions, what do you think about Firestore? Do you plan to migrate from a real-time database to the Firestore during its beta? Yeah, we are thinking about it. Firestore is more optimized for this, for making queries, for filtering data, and the most thing I love it for, it's accessible offline. It means that you can still write into your Firestore while it's offline. How it looks like? You just, when your user is on offline in your application, and you still want your user to interact with your application. So user will just still make changes in your application when offline, and when it will have the network connectivity back to the so all changes will be immediately sent to the Firestore. The Firebase real-time database can do that for web. Is Google planning to provide Firebase Cloud Functions not only for US region? Good question. Actually, I didn't hear about this. I know they only have it from the US Central, but they provide you a CDNs that you can, when, for instance, you are building HTTPS function, like REST API, and you are giving back in response some data, and you can use the headers, specify the max age, and specify how long you want to cache your data, and you can cache on the local CDNs. Is there a way to store your user-specific data? So user-specific data. It means when user is logging to the application.
Yes, I mean that. If I have a few users and I want to save some data for this user login.
Yeah, you can. So all you need is just use a Firebase authentication event. So you can listen, there is Firebase user.onCreate. So every time the new user is logged in, you can fetch the data from the object. If there is for usually you can use Google provider to log in your user, and you can immediately get the user name, user email, and you can store the user's data to your specific object into database. And can I throttle price plan, fee $5 a day? Can you explain more about it?
If I have, for example, $300 in my wallet, can I say today I would like to spend just $5, no more?
Actually, no. As I said, you have the fixed price only for this Flame plan when you just pay $25 a month for all products. And another one is pay as you go. So how much you use, this is how much you pay. So you can just estimate your costs. And how you can test the functions locally without access to the internet. So the easiest way is to test, for instance, HTTP functions. You can just spin up your local server and be a local host, just to get access to your functions via HTTP. But if there is you want to test your event that were made to the database, so recently they haven't supported it, but probably from summer, they expanded their Firebase tools. So I can show you, if I can find for you Firebase local testing. So all you can do is just creating kind of fake data in the files that will fake your events that were made to the database. And just pass this fake data to your functions, and this is how you can test it. Actually, I haven't tried it yet, but I really advise you to do that. So for HTTP functions, it's really easy to test. And if you want to test this event from database, you have to kind of create your fake data. Yeah. So this is how it works. Sorry. I thought I'd share. OK. It's OK. So just if you have more questions, just reach me after the session so we can discuss all the topics together and all the questions. I think it's OK.
Okay.
This was the last question.
Yeah.
So thank you. And bon appetit. It's lunch soon.